lot of things that I wasn't a fan of in this game. There's a lot of things that I would assume all of us are not a fan of with this game. But a win is a win. You take them any way you can. If it's ugly, if it's in a shootout, if it's to a bad team like the Buffalo Sabres, you take the wins any way you can and try to find a way to build off of it. You found a way to come back into this game, and you found a way to win it in a shootout. You take wins when you get them. And like I said, there's still plenty of things that I did not like watching this game. I just didn't. There were way too many defensive breakdowns. I think we let Buffalo, especially early in this game, run over us a little bit, especially in our own defensive zone, especially behind the net. Way too many issues there. Carter Hart didn't have it tonight, and you can tell from his post-game press conference, he just doesn't have confidence at all in his game. He doesn't. He's lost. And this is probably the first time in his professional career that he's felt like this. So there's something off with Carter. There definitely is. And also, granted, too, there's way more defensive breakdowns in front of him than past seasons. There's a lot that you can equip for his struggles this year. It could be mentally. It could be the change in style that the team is playing this year, from being one of the better defensive teams last year to one of the worst defensive teams this year. Could be a mechanical issue. There could be a lot of things, but right now, Hart just doesn't have it right now. He just simply doesn't have it. And you can simply tell from his post-game press conference. So he gets pulled after the first period. Brian Elliott comes in. And thank God for Brian Elliott playing as sharp that he has been this season. Because we probably wouldn't be in the spot right now if Brian Elliott wasn't playing this well. So, not going to go into that deep extent of that talk, but Moose has been huge for us this year. That's the basic summary out of everything. He has been. He's been very huge for us this year. And I guess to discuss a little things before getting into the game, I actually, for the first time this season, second game for the Wells Fargo Center allowing fans, I was actually able to attend this with my father today. My dad literally just came up from the basement from work saying, like, hey, do you want to go to the game? I was like, yeah, I definitely do. Even though that definitely wasn't my reaction at first. I was like, sure, okay. So, had to be back there in over a year. I think our last game was that final game before the NHL season got postponed because of COVID and everything. That last game against the Boston Bruins last year in March. So it's basically at this point almost been over an entire year. I think it's been like 364 days, specifically, like literally almost a year since that game has happened, and almost a year since we've been back at the Wells Fargo Center for our game. So it was just a great experience overall, finally being able to go back there for a game, seeing the boys in action, seeing the crowd, even though it's a very minimal crowd, it's still a great experience whatsoever. The overpriced food, as always, it was just a great experience. A great experience overall. And who knows if this is my only game as a fan this season, I won't mind it. But still, it was a great experience overall. And even though there was a lot of frustration involved with this game, I was definitely like, I want to go home. but they got the W. It's all that matters. And my blood pressure is way too high from that game. But to get off that topic, still just like, it felt great being back there as a fan. It definitely did. It really, really felt great. So just to get into the game, Flyers, they got their chances early. First goal comes early in this game. First line, JVR, Joel Farabee, Sean Couturier, they continue to be hot as ever. They continue to click. And you got a nice passing play between Coots, Farabee, and JVR to set up a one-timer by JVR to bury it past Johansson to get an early 1-0 lead for the Flyers. But this is where my problems come from this period, from the first period. Buffalo getting into our zone way too easily. They're winning a lot of puck battles along the boards, and they're winning a lot of battles behind the net, behind the red line. And that's where a lot of the issues are. The Flyers are losing those one-on-one battles, those puck battles, and they resulted in a lot of bad things in this period. And they resulted in all three Sabres goals in this period. The goals both by Reinhart and one by Sheahan. And all three Buffalo goals look the exact same. They win a puck played down low. They find a guy open in the slot. One-timer. Goes by Carter Hart. All three of those goals. 2 by Reinhart, 1 by Sheahan. And they were just, like I said, they felt like the entire exact same play. And even after the first Flyers goal by JVR, there was this play that Jeff Skinner literally just flipped Scott Laughton on the faceoff. Wasn't called for a penalty. Scott Laughton had to go back into the locker room. He eventually did come back at the end of the first period, but scary situation. Wish there was a penalty called there. And even into this game, Flyers did get a power play late in this period. There were a lot of chances in the first period as well. The Flyers hit some posts. There were definitely a lot of posts hit in this game by the Flyers, and definitely a lot of block shots by the Buffalo Sabres. Buffalo had 20-plus block shots in this game, a number that I definitely do not like. That means you got to get your shots through more. They're just not getting through. A lot of tips, bodies in the way, and pucks just aren't getting to the net, even though the Flyers had 30-plus shots in this contest. But still, to allow Buffalo to score the same exact way 3 times in a row, that was very bothersome, because it was that one-on-one puck battle, that play behind the net, and they found the guy open in the slot when the pass shouldn't have gotten there in the first place. You have to win the puck battles down low. If you win those puck battles, those goals probably don't happen. They definitely don't. And like I said, even though all those goals were the same exact way, yeah, I do feel like maybe Hart should have had some plays at some of them. I understand their defensive breakdowns as well, but sometimes when your defense makes a mistake, your goaltender has to make up for that. And Hart wasn't making up for those mistakes tonight. And granted, yes, those guys are wide open in the slot for a one-timer. Yes, a goalie is not going to save those every single night. They're just not going to. But I think Hart maybe could have had at least 1 or 2 of those goals back. He definitely would have wanted them back too. And he basically summarized that in his press conference. It's a shitty feeling right now that he is having. So, you're down 3-1. You get a power play going into the second period. And you just overall need to play a lot better. There were chances in the offensive zone too, but you need to play a lot better. Power play at the beginning of the second period wasn't the best thing in the world. Definitely wasn't. But then the Flyers definitely do get their chances. They get a second power play in this period, and this happens halfway into the second period, actually. No, actually, even before this even happens, I am getting way too ahead of myself, too. Early in the second period, right after the first power play, you get a beautiful play by Scott Laughton on the right side. Comes up the right side, goes between his legs, finds a cross-crease pass to Kevin Hayes, and he buries it, and he makes it a 3-2 Buffalo lead. But then, something that's also been similar in the past 2 games by the Flyers, when they score a goal, they allow the team so many minutes later to respond. And this is definitely a goal that Brian Elliott would want back. A goal by Brandon Montour on the left side, throwing the biscuit onto the net, and it somehow goes in. I think Elliott did get a piece of this. It somehow squeaks by him and then goes bar down. No idea how this puck goes in, and it's a 4-2 Buffalo lead. The Flyers get a couple more power plays, one halfway through this period, can't score on it, and then they also get one closer toward the end stages of this period as well. And this is when the power play is ending. They are getting their chances on this power play too. But the second unit stays out there, the power play ends, and you get a nice passing sequence between Provorov, Voracek, and Giroux. Provorov on the right side pushes a puck over to Voracek, who's on the red line, finds a way to get the puck through the crease and where Claude Giroux is standing there perfectly, and he just buries it, buries the biscuit into the empty net for a 4-3 Buffalo lead. And the Flyers, they're starting to find that way to come back into this game. They are. They're finding that way to come back. In the third period, it was basically more of the same. Finding those ways to come back. There were a lot of chances, too, in the third period as well. And the Flyers in the second period, they were out shooting Buffalo mightily. They outshot them 12-6. And the Flyers outshot Buffalo in every period. 9-8 in the first, 12-6 in the second, and 9-4 in the third period. And this third period, like I said, was just more of the same. Flyers trying to find a way to get that goal, and they had a lot of chances in this period as well. Voracek had a chance. There were a lot of chances for the Flyers to bury it into the open net, and either the puck would bounce the other way, they would just either whiff on the puck, or a shot would get blocked. And we get a power play late in this third period. We do, and the first unit stays out there for a little bit. And it's also nice hearing there in person, hearing all of the fans around me shout, "Shoot! Shoot!" It was happening literally the entire time. And we get a nice, just a a classic goal on the power play, I mind you, and actually a power play goal, actually, before I even state that. The Flyers somehow scored on the power play. It's felt like years since they've scored on the power play. Sean Couturier over to Shane Gostisbehere, claps it, goes by Johansson, tie game 4-4, and Flyers make the comeback and they tie the game. But not for long after, because Jake Voracek takes a tripping penalty in the offensive zone with 2.5 minutes left, and the Flyers, yes, they kill the penalty at the end of the period, but it was a scary penalty to take and not a good one to take, especially at the end of the game. But we kill it off. We go into the overtime. You get the point there. Sean Couturier having an early chance on a breakaway in the overtime gets stopped by Johansson, and basically after that play by Couturier, this was the most boring overtime I've ever witnessed. The most boring. Because literally it's Buffalo with possession the entire time. They're not doing anything with the damn puck. They're coming into the zone. They try to make a pass. Either the pass happens and they have no room to go anywhere else, or they miss the pass, it goes out of the zone, they have to reset. It was basically a recycled play of the same exact thing going into the zone the entire time. In, out, in, out, in, out. And it felt like guys like Sanheim, Farabee, Couturier, Kevin Hayes, they were out there that entire sequence just because they couldn't get off the ice. And it's funny too, those guys got a 3-on-1 as well, and the Flyers, they just looked so gassed on that rush that they couldn't turn that into anything. And Jake, and Provorov, they were getting chances late too, they just couldn't bury it. They could not bury it at all. And we go to the shootout, and Sean Couturier manages to redeem himself with the shootout, comes down the right side, goes blocker side by Johansson into the net, 1-0. Moose makes a save on Dahlin. You got Nolan Patrick coming in here with all the patience in the world, picking the top corner. 2-0 Flyers in the shootout, and you got Brian Elliott making the final save to seal this victory off as the Flyers win it 5-4 in the overtime, and they get the extra point. And this is definitely different than a 3-game losing streak. Definitely is. You find ways to win even if they're ugly, even if they're in the shootout, even if they're against the Buffalo Sabres. They found a way to win tonight, and I'm definitely not going to take that away from the boys. Definitely not. But there are still way too many things that I've had issues with in this game, specifically the defensive breakdowns, not winning the one-on-one battles. Carter Hart did not have a strong night, but Brian Elliott stepped up for us. We found a way to come back, and right now that's all that matters. But still, way too many things that stood out that I had issues with. And a lot of these things still need to get fixed. They just need to. Whether that's internally, they make a trade, something that has to be fixed, especially to that defensive core. Something needs to be fixed in there to get these guys to settle down. Because it's ugly. At a lot of moments in games, it's ugly. Especially in their own defensive zone. Especially. It gets frustrating a lot, especially watching that majority of that first period just happen. Them losing the one-on-one battles behind the net, allowing Buffalo to find that open guy in the slot, to let him take that wrist shot and beat Hart with 3 of the exact same goals. It got really frustrating. And I'm sure it's getting really frustrating for Hart as well, for the way that he is playing, the way the defense is playing in front of him. I feel like that's also an issue too. That's affecting his game, getting really frustrated. So, there's a lot of things that you can equip in the Carter Hart's game right now. There's a lot of things. Still a very young goaltender. He's 22, and like I said this in many videos before, we are going through the growing pains of a young goaltender, and right now he is trying to figure it out. All young players do this, and right now Carter Hart is experiencing that. But the boys managed to find a way, get the victory, and this is way different than a 3-game losing streak. Can't take that away from them. So, find a way, this character victory, find a way to build off of this. And you got 2 important games coming up against the Capitals, Thursday and Saturday. You got to find a way to get points out of those. You got to get wins. In my opinion, I would expect Moose to start on Thursday, but who knows, maybe AV throws Carter Hart back in there just to find a way to get his confidence back. But in my personal opinion, ride with the hot goaltender. And I think that's what AV is going to do. He's got to ride with the hot goaltender. Even AV stated that in his post-game press conference. He didn't like what Hart did tonight. He didn't like the way he played. He thought he could have been better. So, he's calling out his players for being bad, like AV normally does. So, I do expect them to put Moose in on Thursday's game. So, what are your guys' thoughts on this game? Thoughts on this Flyers victory, and just thoughts overall? And like I said, it was a great experience being back at the Wells Fargo Center. Hopefully, I can be back there for another game soon. So definitely, that'll be a great time eventually there. So, what are your thoughts on this game? Don't forget to leave your comments in the comment section below. Don't forget to drop a like on this video. Don't forget to check out the Painted Lines, which I'm a part of. Their links will be in the description below. Don't forget to check out the Florida Podcast merchandise website. That link will also be in the description below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, everyone. And I'll see you next time.